Hello, everybody. So today, MSTR announced buying 22,000 Bitcoin. This video is entitled All About Stretch because I was expecting a bigger buy, because I was expecting a multiplier. I thought we would ATM much more MSTR stock. I thought we'd do, a 2 to a 3x times stretch in MSTR stock. That didn't happen. Last week was all about stretch. It was just stretch. And he actually did way less MSTR common ATM. Saylor did way less of a common ATM on MSTR. And Saylor did way more of the stretch ATM than I thought, than I had anticipated. And so we are still early in our understanding of stretch. We're still learning. But turns out Stretch.live was quite off, right? Because he ATM'd nearly $2 billion of stretch, as opposed to Stretch.live's estimate of 800 million, actually just a tad under 800 million. So that's a pretty big delta, and that is very impressive that he would be able to raise $1.18 billion of stretch. Think about that. So what is one of the main takeaways of this success of stretch is that if you look, if we have 2 more weeks like this, we're out of availability for the ATM. We're out of authorization, right? So one of the key takeaways of that is that if he keeps ATMing stretch this week and next week, and of course he hasn't started the ATM just yet. We're still recovering from the ex-dividend date of last Friday. But if he keeps going that pace, he's gonna have to have a new authorization, perhaps within 3 weeks. And so my guess is that he's going to cancel Strive, Strike, and Stride. Clearly hasn't shown any interest in issuing these Strive, Strike, or Stride. Clearly hasn't shown any interest, and we know Saylor's fascination with simplicity, fascination with Occam Razor. The simple solution is the best solution. Even renaming the company from MicroStrategy to Strategy. So my guess is that Saylor over the future wants to see MSTR and stretch very simple, very simple type of company. So that would be my guess, is that there's going to be another $21 billion, there's going to be a $21 billion authorization perhaps for stretch, and perhaps we are going to cancel the other ATMs, especially Strike. You can see there's $20 billion left of issuance for Strike. You can see Saylor has no interest in issuing Strike, and I've called Strike the best preferred in the past, and that's because of that perpetual call option. I don't think he has any interest in issuing Strike. I think he's all in on stretch. So we need to put the success of stretch in context. You may remember a few months ago I had said, eventually he could do as much as $1 billion a week. Well, last week he proved that he's already there. He's already there. Like my medium-term target for stretch was $1 billion a week. He's already there, because if you look at 1180 million, right? 1180 million over 4 days, that's 295 million a day, which is more than I thought. I thought 200 million a day would be a medium term, maybe a 2027 thing, maybe a late 26 thing. We're already there. And so another point, right? Of course, we had the ex-dividend Thursday night, Friday we did an ATM. Is he going to be ATMing again soon this week? If you look, we're at 99.90. Maybe give it a couple hours, maybe a day and a half. My guess is that we're back to the ATM pretty soon. And as for Bitcoin, the Bitcoin to MSTR ratio, the pattern's back to our usual. I always say about 1.5 times, 1.5x over a short run. And lastly, you may remember my last video 2 days ago. I was saying, could we get back to neutral in the Bitcoin fear and greed index? Well, if you look at this is actually the crypto fear and greed index, but it's all correlated. We're actually back to neutral. This is absolutely incredible. We're actually back to neutral on the fear and greed index. We bounced back really quickly from extreme fear. That lasted a few weeks, and that was it. So Bitcoin's rebounding. Bitcoin's at 74K. Bitcoin's rebounding. This is looking pretty good. I don't want to celebrate too early, but this is looking pretty good. And of course, under the hood, strategy is firing on all cylinders. So pretty good day in the market today. I'm pretty happy with performance of strategy. Of course, MSTR stock ATM. I hope it's coming back soon, right? But anyways, as a stretch was really, really good. This was not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you're entertained. Please please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.